So today we'll look at one final concept in CSS, that is media queries. So what is the use of media queries? It is used for creating responsive web designs or responsive websites, I'll say web pages, whatever you can call it. So what do you mean by a responsive website? I'll show you a demonstration of this. I have created this website wherein I have 3 columns of data here. So what do you mean by responsive web designs? If I reduce the screen size, you see when I'm reducing it further, it aligns it, the columns align as per the screen size. Now you're able to see all the columns like this. So this is called responsiveness. That is, your website or your web page aligns to the screen size. So you would have seen code spindle too. So when you're viewing it on the mobile phone, there's a different kind of a design when compared to what you view on the desktops. So responsive web design is very important in today's world where everyone accesses your website using various devices. It's not only mobile phones, some people can access it using tablets, some people can access it using large screens, some people can access it using laptops with varying screen sizes. So your web page should be viewed on varying screen sizes. You understood? So how you design things, the question here is how you design things such that when you reduce the screen size, the page is not impacted. The user's experience is not disturbed. See, if I'm going to show something like 3 columns of data with a screen size like this, the user will not be able to read it, right? So you should somehow align it such that the user's experience is not getting impacted. So this is called responsive web designs, and today we are going to take an introduction to responsive web designs. So this is the code I have written. We'll come back to this code at the end. I'll tell you how to create this site. Let me delete everything now. Let's take a look at how to create such websites. So for this, let me create a HTML document, and the topic for today is media queries tutorial, we'll say. And what is it I'm going to have inside the body section is I'll have some text. This is some text. One more thing, I'll have an external style sheet, link my external style sheet, mystyle.css. And now I'll access this body section inside my style sheet, and I'll give some color to that, say font color to be blue, something like this. So what will be the output now? This is some text, right? You're able to see this. Let me maybe give some font size to font size 3M. Now the objective is when I reduce the screen size, the color of the font should change to some other color when I attain a certain screen size. So for this, we are going to write some media queries. So how you create media queries is, this is the syntax. You give at media. That's the keyword. And then you mention whether this is applicable for screens. What do you mean by screen here? Screen is a keyword, and what it means is any device with a screen. So it denotes any device with a screen. It can be your laptop, your mobile phones, your tablets. So this kind of a query is applicable for any devices with screens. That is the meaning here. Screen denotes device with a screen, right? And we can say when the minimum width, this is another keyword. This is another condition I am giving. When the minimum width exceeds 500 pixels, what is it I'm going to perform here is I'm going to give the color to be red. That's it. So this is one mistake that we should not do. What we have to do here is we should first access the body section, and then we have to give the color to be red. Access the body section, And inside this, I want the color of the text to be changing to red. Now let's take a look at the output. So what it really means is, let's reduce the screen size. Now the screen size is not 500 pixels, it's less than 500 pixels. So when the minimum width, what is it we see here? When the minimum width is 500 pixels or greater. So when I increase it, you see now the minimum width exceeds 500 pixels. Immediately this styling comes into effect. You understood this? You can also apply any kind of styling. You can say background color can be aqua when the minimum width exceeds. See, when the minimum width is less than 500 pixels, this is going to be the styling. When I increase it, see when I'm viewing this on a larger screen, this styling comes into effect. That is, minimum width is greater than or equal to 500 pixels. What is that we are performing here? We access the body section, we apply the color to be red and background color to be aqua. So you understood this. What do you mean by screens? This is applicable for all devices with a screen on it. So this is applicable for screens. That is the meaning. And the condition we are giving here is minimum width should be 500 pixels. When you have minimum width, the opposite of this is maximum width. What do you mean by maximum width? So when I say maximum width, the entire styling will be applicable only when the width is maximum 500 pixels. So what do you mean by maximum width? Anything that is equal to 500 or less than 500 pixels. So here the maximum width is 500 or less than 500 pixels. When it is exceeding 500 pixels, that styling will not come into effect. So where this is applicable, say the maximum width for your mobile phone screens will be certain limit. Say for instance, your mobile phone screen maximum width can be 320 pixels. So when the user is viewing it on his mobile phone, the color of the text on the body section will be red and then the background color can be aqua. When the user is viewing on something that is greater than 320 pixels, then that the color can be different color and then the font size can be different. So you can define everything. So that is the key here. You understood the difference between min width and max width? The same thing you can also apply it for min height. Min height, this is another thing, min height. So what is min height? When the height is minimum 320 pixels, only then this, let me say min height is 500 pixels. So what is min height meaning? When the height is minimum 500 pixels. Now the height of the viewport is not 500 pixels, so you're going to have, this is some text in blue. When the height is minimum 500 pixels, you will see the color changing to red and the background color going into blue. So min height, likewise max height. Now you know what is max height, right? Maximum should be 500 pixels. Anything greater than that, this styling will not be affected. So let me reduce it. Anything that is equal to 500 or less than 500, we'll have the color to be red and then the background color to be aqua. So I was a little confused while I was reading media queries between min height, max height, min width and max width. Min width is minimum that width should be satisfied to apply that styling. Max width is maximum width is that much. Beyond that, this styling will not come into effect. Are you clear with this? See, you can give multiple conditions here. You can give media screen and we can give min width. See, when the minimum width is 500 pixels and we can give minimum height. We can club many conditions here. Minimum height to be 500 pixels. So now you're defining the viewport size, right? Minimum width 500 pixels, minimum height 500 pixels. Only then you define this styling. So now you can take a look at this. Maybe the minimum width and height for this is not 500 pixels, it's less than 500 pixels. When the height increases beyond 500 pixels, see, height is increasing beyond 500 pixels, still that condition is not applying because there's one more condition. width also should be beyond 500 pixels. So you can have set of conditions here using and. You want to apply that using or, there is no or keyword, you have to give a comma. So when minimum width is 500 pixels or minimum height is 500 pixels, you apply this styling to the body section. You understood the difference between and or? And there is one more important thing. See, when you are applying styles, to which section you are applying styles here? To the body section. You are writing a media query that will come into effect for the body section, right? So the order is important here. You cannot place the media query above the body section. This will not work. So always have the media query. Say if you are styling the body section or any other element for that sake, you have the media query after that element. So these are certain basic rules you should have in mind. Okay. So min height, min width, max height, max width we have seen. There's one more thing. You can also go with orientation. That is, you can give orientation to be landscape or portrait. So when I say the orientation is landscape, this styling will come into effect. So what is landscape? See, now it is portrait, right? What is landscape? When the width is going to be greater than the height. So when it is landscape, that thing comes into effect. Likewise, you can also define orientation to be portrait. When the orientation is portrait, only then apply these conditions. Now you can club that with many other conditions and minimum height to be this and maximum width to be this. So when it is portrait and this like that. So what is that we have seen? Min height, min width, max height, max width, orientation to be landscape or portrait. See, one of the options you give here is a screen. What is the another option that we can give? For this, what I will do is I will show you the other options. What are the other options other than screen? Other than screen, what we can mention? For this, I'll just show you. Other than screen, we can give print. Print is applicable only when you're printing that web page on a printer. So this effect will come into place only when you're printing that web page on a printer. See, when you go to a web page, you will print forms and many other things, right? When you're printing a form, maybe you will apply certain stylings that fit to the printer's dimensions. So now let's go to the output. Let's check what is happening here. See, the text color is in blue. It's not in red. But when it will go to red, when I print this, say Alt F for, oh God, I give Alt F and then I go to print. So when I am printing this page, you'll be able to see the color turning to red. So why this is so? Because this styling comes into effect only when I print. So the other option that you can use with respect to media queries is print. Another thing that we have seen, screen we have already seen, print we have seen. You want this to be applicable for both screens and print media. Then you have to give all. All is it's applicable for all devices, whether it is a printer or it's a screen. So now when you see media all body color to be red, what it means is now that condition is applicable to the screen. See, the color of the text is red. When I print it, what's happening? That's also applicable to the print version of it. So when you want some styling to be applicable only for screen, you say it's screen. When you want it to be only for printing, you say it's print. When you want that to be for both the printing and the screens, you say it's all. There are other things too, like they in some tutorials you may see only, or in some queries you will see only screen. This is just to say that some older browsers are not going to be supporting media queries. So to reduce that impact on older browsers, they are going to use only screen. So you can very well ignore this. There'll be some tutorials you're going to look at, they'll use only screen. Some media queries will have only. There's also something called not. Whether even I am correct with this. So what is the use of not keyword? It will not be applicable to screens, I guess. It reverses the condition. See, now it's not applicable to screens. So what is that? When I print this, will that be applicable there? So it reverses. It's not for screens, it's for print. So there's a condition called not, there's a condition called only. Otherwise, nothing to worry about. We'll be mostly working with screens. So our focus will be on screens. Are you all clear with media queries? Now we'll go and create that. We'll take up some exercises on media queries. What is that we are going to do now is let's take up some two exercises we'll do. We can parallelly code that alongside with me. So we'll take up exercise 1. So I'm going to use Flexbox, mimic an image website, and then we'll see how we can use media queries to make it more responsive. So for this, what we'll do is you all have learned Flexbox, right? You know Flexbox. So let's create a container. So that's the container, and we'll have this flex items within the container. Item 1, like that, I'll have some 12 items. Let's say this is item 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and this is 12. Likewise, I'll also change this 10, 11, and 12. Okay, just 12 flex items inside a container, and we'll see the output of this. Let me remove all the styling here. That is for our previous exercise. So this is how it looks without any styling. Now let's style this. Let's access the container. It's simple Flexbox styling. So display will be what? Flex. So if you are absent for my Flexbox tutorial, then you have to go through the lectures on Flexbox. So display is flex, and what we'll do here is we'll have this flex wrap condition enabled. We'll wrap the items. Again, I will access all the child items within my all the divisions within my container. Just for visualization purposes, let me give a background color to be some gray, something like that. Let's take a look at the output. It's like this. And for every division, I'll give some height and width. Height to be 200 pixels, width to be 200 pixels. See, when you are working with responsive websites, you can use percentage. I'm using pixels here, but the recommendation is use percentage. So 200 pixels by 200 pixels, this is how it looks. Maybe to look at it as different divisions, I'll give some alternate colors. Say container, div, you'll access the nth child, all the odd children will access, and then we'll give a background color to be, this is the most difficult part for me. Let me give aqua. So it looks like this. Maybe we'll give some row gap and column gap. So we'll have some row gap here of 10 pixels and column gap of 10 pixels, so that we get that thing. So this is like a website that posts images. You consider each division to be an image. I'm just mimicking that. Now, when I reduce the screen size, what's happening? So beyond a certain size, it's not going to look too good. You can't view this on the mobile phones. So when you create a site like this, how to make it more responsive? For this, what we are going to do is we are going to write a media query at media. It is applicable for screens, and then I'm going to give, and I'm just going to style it for mobile phones. Say max width. Since I'm not using a mobile phone here, I'll give 500 pixels to be the max width. For mobile phones, it may be 320 pixels or so. And I'll access the container. It's very simple. Flex direction will be column. When the screen size reduces, the direction of the flex will become column. Let's take a look at the output now. See, when I reduce the screen size, flex direction becomes column. But then what you see is this is 200 pixels, the screen size is 500 pixels. So maybe your columns are aligned to one end of your mobile phones. Let's imagine like that. So how to adjust that? We can access the children, like we can access every division inside the container, and we can give the width to be 100% when the screen size is 500 pixels. So now when you take a look at the output, you see that we are solving. When it is greater than 500 pixels, it's aligning itself as multiple rows and columns. When it is less than 500 pixels or equal to 500 pixels, so you're going to see the images like this. So this is the kind of styling, when you're accessing things on a mobile phone, you're going to see it column wise. So very easy, right, to achieve responsive web designs. Not only that, see, if I'm going to view it on a 15-inch laptop screen, if I'm going to view it on a desktop, laptop screens again has got varying sizes, 15-inch, 17-inch, 14-inch. I don't like, even you have small size laptops. So how will you design things for that? For that, you can write another media query here. Add media. I'm not going to. I'm just telling you how you can achieve that media screen. And see, if I'm designing it for laptops with varying screen sizes, I can say minimum width starts from. I'm just assuming something here. Minimum width of the laptop screen is 600 pixels, and max width is say 800 pixels. These are not the actual values. These are like some values I imagine. So it's like when the screen size is between these ranges, it means the user is visualizing that website on his laptop. So for that, you can style your own font size, your colors, your things like that. If he is going to view anything greater than say 1200 pixels or something like that, say it's a large screen is viewing it, then you can write another media query at media screen, and we can say min width is say 900 pixels. Then you apply certain styling here. It means all the screens greater than 900 pixels, that styling will come into effect. So this is for, we can say, this is for large screens greater than 900 pixels, this styling will come into effect. Maybe this is for laptops of varying screen sizes, so this styling will come into effect. Like that, you can also take into consideration tablets of varying screen sizes. So I was going through this, and I found out that for mobile devices, max width is 480 pixels. So these are like some actuals which I have got from online resources. For low resolution tablets, this is what they say. Minimum width is 481, maximum width is 767 pixels. For tablets, iPads, portrait mode, minimum width is 768 pixels, maximum width is 1024. For laptops and desktops, minimum width 1025, maximum width is 1280 pixels. And for large screens, minimum width should be 1281 pixels. So again, this is from one of the online platforms wherein I have derived these actual values. When will you come to know whether it's working fine? After coding it and testing it on the actual devices. Okay. So are you all able to understand this this output we have achieved? Were you able to achieve the same output in your systems? Can we go to the next exercise? Let me take up one more exercise before we wind up media queries. So media queries, very, very, very important. Like you can't imagine designing a website that's not compatible with various devices of varying screen sizes. Definitely that application will be a miserable failure. So let's take up exercise 2. What is exercise 2? It's going to be again some flexbox concepts. We'll have a container. Maybe we'll have only two items inside our container. This is the very first example I've shown to you. So here we have item 1 and here we have item 2. Inside item 1, I'll have a paragraph with some dummy text 30, some dummy text. I'll also have an image. I have my images folder. I'll have some image. I'll say some table is shown. That is the alternate text. Following my paragraph, I mean following my image, I'll have another paragraph. Here I'll have some dummy text of 50 characters, 50 words, not characters. So that is item 1. How, let me remove all this styling here. So how is that our output looks? Let's refresh this. Oh, why my output is not changing? I didn't save this. This is the output. This is flex item 1 having some dummy text of 30 words, a table, dummy text of 50 words. Let's go to flex item 2. Here maybe I'll create a list of points, something like that. ULLI, low orient. I'll have some 20 word list item here. Maybe I'll create some 4-5 lists. And the output looks like this. This is flex item 2. Maybe we'll have one more flex item, that is flex item 3. So let's call this flex item 3. Oh god, it's a dot item 3. And inside this, what I'm going to have is maybe another list, some item 1, item 2, item 3, like that. Some list we'll have here. So this is flex item 1, this is flex item 2, this is flex item 3. All the items are within a container, that is the flex box. So now let's style this. So how will you style this? You access the container. As usual, display is flex. And what we'll do is we'll access every child, container, every division, and we'll access the first child. Now I'll give the flex property to be 25%. Likewise, let us access the second child. How will you access the second child? It is nth child 2. You give flex to be 50%. Likewise, you access the third child, that is nth child 3. So here flex is the remaining 25%. So how is that our site looks? So this is 25%, this is flex 50%, this is flex 25%. 3 columns of data. Now we'll give some background color. Background color for this can be aqua, that is for the first column. Background color for the next column can be brown, that is the center column. And background color for the last column can be again aqua. Like I always give aqua. So this is how it looks. And you see the height of this container is not matching the viewport's height. So what I will perform here is I'll just give height for the container to be 100% of the viewport and width to be 100% of the viewport, so that our columns fill the entire page. Now you can go and style this. You can give padding, you can give some colors, you can give some line height. Let's style each and everything. Say for the first child, let's give padding of 30 pixels. That's how it looks when you have the padding. Maybe uh, so it's just within that division. That's what. We can also give some text align. Any kind of alignment you can perform. Likewise for this center, what we'll do is maybe we'll give the font color to be white, and padding also we'll give padding of 20 pixels. Let's see what happens. Okay, see, we have created the site. Now when I reduce the size of this screen, what happens? When I reduce the viewport size, this is how the user is going to view this on smaller screens, and this is going to give a very bad experience for the user. So how you can achieve better designs here is you can write a media query at media applicable to all screens, and we can say I'll just design it for say mobile phones. Max width, you can give mobile phone screen size here. I'll give 500 pixels since I'm showing the demo on the laptop. Now I'll access the container and I'll say flex direction to be column. So it says when the size is equal to 500 or less than 500, change the flex direction to column. That's it. Now when you see here, you can very well see now it is 500 or less than 500, it becomes column. So that experience is retained, right? The user can still read it. When it is in a large screen, you'll be able to still see it like this. Not only that, as I told you, you can very well write more media queries. Say at media, for instance, if you are targeting larger screen sizes, we can use the conditions. That is minimum width. When the minimum width hits, say 600 pixels, and maximum width, that is anything less than 800 pixels or so, what we can achieve here is we can achieve a lot of things, but I'll just show you one example. Container, I'll access the nth child 2, and maybe I'll give some font color or some background color. Let's check background color to be, what is that we can give? Aquamarine will try, or red will go. Red. So what is that we are trying to achieve here is, see, now this is applicable for screen sizes between 600 to 700 pixels. The center column went to red. When it is going for 500 pixels or less, you see the styling of brown comes into place. When you are viewing it on a somewhat larger screen, this is the color. When the screen size exceeds 700 pixels, again it turns to brown. So a lot of things can be done using media queries. So please try all these things now.